very early. 5 o'clock, couldn't sleep. And I was thinking about this video that I saw on Facebook, a YouTube video, from one of those animal rescue groups. And I didn't watch the whole thing, so I don't know the outcome. I assume it was probably pretty good, because they don't usually put those videos on unless they have a happy ending. But so it starts out where they found this old blind dog, and he had been living in the junkyard. And so the video opens up on his face where he's hiding under an old bus. And he's blind, and he's old, and he's, scared to death. You've seen these videos, I'm sure. And these rescuers are dead set that they're going to catch this dog, and they're going to, and they're not just going out there with a net either. They're coaxing him out, so, it's not really against his will. They're going to catch this dog, and they're going to take him. First thing they're going to do is they're going to take him to the vet, and they're going to get him checked out, and they're going to find out exactly what's wrong with him. And they're going to wash him, and they're going to trim his nails, and they're going to make him well as he can be. They're probably, like I said, I didn't watch it. He looked like he had big cataracts on his eyes. So if they can restore his sight with cataract surgery, I'm sure they will. So then you'll have this dog who's elderly but well. And then they'll find a home for him, a family. And they'll rehabilitate him. And then you'll see at the end of the video, you'll see him jumping around, laughing, and not laughing, barking, and happy. He'll be happy with a family and rehabilitated, and that will be the happy ending. And I used to have this friend who's not my friend anymore for other reasons, and she was an animal rights activist, and I remember that she could not go past, not one dog could she drive past that she saw loose on the street, whether it looked healthy or not. If she saw a dog loose on the street, she would pull over her car, no matter what, no matter where she was going, no matter what else was going on, she would pull her car over, and she would attempt to catch that dog. And while the dog was running around, she would go and she would knock on doors. Is this your dog? Is this your dog? She'd knock on the next door. Is this your dog? Do you know whose dog this is? And she would not give up until she either found that dog's owner and made them go get the dog, or she got the dog. And if it got away, she would have pictures of the dog, and she would post those pictures all over Facebook and say, here's this dog, he's running around loose. I don't know if he's homeless or not. Somebody needs to get on the ball and go look for him, and if that's your dog, go get him, and if it's not your dog, we need to get some people out there and find him. I mean, and it was an emergency situation. Every single dog. Every dog. And when I first started seeing that, when I first started looking at that video, my first thought, because I've been really depressed this semester, I told you in my last video, I've been sick, I've been struggling really hard. And it's winter, and that's probably a lot to do with it. It's difficult. I mean, it's one thing to be hot. It's a whole different thing to be cold and in the dark. Biologically, we need vitamin D and whatnot, Anyway, my first thought when I saw that dog is, one day, that's going to be me. Old and sick and blind and hiding under a bus. And I don't know if that's true, but I'm not saying that that's really true. But I mean, that's what I thought. And then I couldn't go back to sleep this morning because I woke up thinking about that dog and thinking about how, you know, there are people, young people, old people, sick people, veterans, people with mental illness, and they're sitting and they're walking and they're hungry and they're asking for help and they're asking for money. And how many times do you walk past them? And there's a trend today. There's a trend today where these YouTubers who've made a lot of money, I don't know that, I'm not going to say that they're doing it just to make money. But there is a trend of YouTubers today who go and they pick out some homeless guy and they give him a couple $100 and buy him a few things. And he cries and they hug him. They talk to him a little bit and then they, you know, they end their video with how, if you just talk to this person, blah, 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 blah. And they're making tons of money on these videos. You know they are, because that's how they have that couple $100 to give them. And they started out in other ways. I haven't done any research on this, but I know that I know that one in particular started with like prank videos, and now he's doing homeless videos. Well, homeless rescue videos. But the thing is, they're not rescuing anybody, are they? I mean, imagine if these people that are, you know, working with these dogs, imagine if they said, oh, here's a dog. I'm going to give him a bag of dog food and a bath, maybe. And I'm going to sit here and pet him. And then I'm going to get up and go home. But I'm going to videotape it and show it to you so that you can see what a cool guy I am. There's homeless shelters that are full. Sometimes there are, you know, several homeless shelters in a city and they're all full. And, you know, they have church services that they require that their people go to if they're going to come in and have dinner. They open their doors at, you know, 4 o'clock or whatever, close their doors at 5 o'clock. Dinner starts, they have a service, they get to take a shower, they have a cot to sleep on maybe. And then in the morning they get breakfast, maybe, and maybe another service, and you know, then they kick them out. And then the next day, if they can get in line early enough, maybe they can come in. Or maybe this is one of those shelters that will only let you come in, you know, 30 days a year. And meanwhile, people keep walking by. And if you look in my town, well, I'm not actually there right now because I'm in school in Magnolia, but in Hot Springs, recently they lifted a ban on panhandling. And so this has increased numbers of people in the open panhandling. Well, it hasn't increased the number of people on the street. It's just increased the number of people openly holding up a sign and panhandling. And so people on Facebook in my town, in my local groups and like local news groups and local restaurant groups and all these different groups that I have on Facebook, they're all talking about it. They're talking about how these lazy people are standing around holding signs looking for money, asking for handouts. And if they got time to stand around all day looking for money and handouts, then they can get a job. And, you know, everybody can't get a job. For one thing, there aren't enough jobs in Hot Springs for all those people to get a job. even if they were able-bodied and, you know, able-minded and had the resources necessary to get a job, it frustrates me to just to no end. And it's probably why I've you know, I'm sympathetic to the dogs and the dog rescue people, and I have some dear friends who are tirelessly rescuing dogs, tirelessly working with you know, disabled dogs and whatnot. And I don't personally know anyone who's tirelessly working with the homeless. I do know one guy who is usually homeless himself, who in the wintertime he organizes and tries to get people to bring sandwich supplies out to the bus station and distribute sandwiches. And he's homeless. And he struggles with drug addiction, and he struggles with hepatitis infection that causes him a lot of trouble and a lot of pain, and you know, I don't know, I'm so frustrated with it, and I just couldn't sleep, and I had to talk about it. And I was thinking to myself, you know, what if you went out and instead of finding a dog on the side of the street, what if you found a man or a woman or a teenager who's on the street, and you took some pictures of them? Of course, you would have to do this with their permission. And you made a Facebook page, and you said, this is Jennifer. Jennifer is on the street, and she's hungry. Jennifer has health problems, and she needs birth control. Jennifer has struggled with addiction, and she needs help. And what if that Facebook page, you did a GoFundMe, or you did a PayPal, or, you know, what do they call that, a chip in? And have you ever, I mean, I don't know if you're involved in any of these animal rescue, but these chip in, they go pretty high. They'll say, this dog has, what's that called? The heartworms. This dog's got heartworms, and he needs, you know, $2,000 worth of treatment for heartworms, and he needs to be neutered, and he needs, you know, he has a skin condition, and he's got, you know, all these different things. And all in all, he needs, you know, $3,000-$4,000 right now to go to a vet. And you will have this long list of comments of people saying, I got $500, I got $10, I got $100, and they're chipping in. Now, you do hear about, you know, I remember there was a guy in Chicago that a family noticed that he was walking to work every day, and they stopped and they talked to him, and they found out that he was taking the bus and walking all the way across town to get to his job at a factory where he had worked for 25 years or some god-awful long time. And he's working his ass off, excuse my language, and he can't afford a car. And so these people were like, well, that's crazy, that doesn't make sense. So they did a GoFundMe, and they ended up giving this man a van, and I don't remember, somewhere around $20,000 worth of cash, which probably screwed him up pretty bad, because now he wasn't going to be able to get his Medicaid and his you know, food stamps and other things, unless he, you know, hid that under the table, or somebody hid that for him. Because honestly, I don't know, at his age, it's not like he could start over with 20 grand. Now, if somebody with the right, I'm just rambling here, but somebody with the right support system, a young person, you were to give them 20 grand in a car and a support system that's told them how to handle that 20 grand and what to do with it in order to turn their life around, then they could. I mean, maybe that guy could take that 20 grand and put a down payment on, you know, a house. But where he lives, it's not like here in Arkansas where you could go and put a down payment on a trailer on 2 acres and, you know, and be set. I think he was in Detroit, so I don't know how much he would have to buy himself a condo or something. I don't think they have trailers in Detroit, do they? I don't know, I've never been to Detroit. But anyway, it just kept me up. It got me thinking about writing a poem along those lines, or doing something. I had an art project in mind, a photography project that I wanted to do. And frankly, I mean, I'll be honest, frankly, I'm a little bit nervous about it. I mean, well, a lot nervous. I'm not the kind of person that can usually just walk up to a stranger and just start talking to them. And that's what it would take. I would need a partner, I think. I would need a partner anyway to help me do it, but I had this project in mind a while ago, and I felt like this could maybe go with it, but I wanted to get a large American flag, you know, big one, like 6 foot by 4, and or maybe 5 by 4 or whatever, and find homeless veterans and ask them to let me photograph them holding that around them, draped over them, because of as a symbol of how they should be. There shouldn't be any homeless vets. I mean, I'm not even a person who's patriotic, but just the whole idea that, you know, these people were coerced in some fashion to go and give their, you know, potentially give up their life for their country, and then, you know, they come home and now they have PTSD, or they just don't know how to translate their skills that they earned in the military into a civilian job. I know that was my mom's problem. She couldn't figure out for the life of her how to translate the skills that she had in the Air Force into a civilian job, and she had, it amazed me how she had no self-confidence to realize that she used to be in the admin field in the Air Force, and she was in charge of hundreds of people, and she cross-trained a couple times and changed, you know, her specific job, but she was in charge of hundreds of people. And at one point she was in charge of the clubs. You know, they have the officers club and the NCO club, and I think that included the dining hall too. I'm not sure. And you know, she was in charge of running those things on the base where she was. And another time she was, when she was stationed at Blytheville, Arkansas, she helped close that base down, which was a lot of, you know, logistics. And in charge of hundreds of people. And then when she came out of the military, she didn't even think that she qualified to apply as a manager trainee at a shoe store, you know. And I'd always I couldn't understand. And I used to try and talk to her about it, and she just didn't get it. And she didn't have the support she needed because she wasn't I wasn't enough to explain it, I guess. Anyway, I was just thinking about, you know, what if instead of handing a homeless guy $100 and a new pair of shoes, what if you took him home? Or what if you did a GoFundMe page and found him a family? Because isn't that what people really need? They need a support system. If they had a family and a support system, they wouldn't be sleeping on the street. Would they? I mean, if your Uncle Joe came home from the military and couldn't figure out how to, you know, how to translate his military skills into, I never let my mom sleep on the street. Even when she was awful. I took her in. You know, I mean, people take in their Uncle Joe and they have them, you know, they build out the garage for them or the basement or, I don't know. I'm open to ideas. We have this platform, YouTube, where we can talk and tell people our ideas. So that's my idea, and I'm open to better ideas. Anyway, I know I'm all weirdly backlit here. It's 5 in the morning, it's dark, and it's probably not that dark outside, but I got the reflectix up, you know. And anyway, I don't know, I had this on my heart and I had to tell you about it. I don't know if you got any value out of this or anything, but, you know, follow if you want, you know, if you think that I have anything that you're interested in hearing. Working on a lot of new art. I've been posting it on my Instagram, which is, I'll put the link in the video description. Posting it on the Facebook page. Oh, and 3 weeks from now, I'm going to have teeth, so maybe my videos will improve. Anyway, I'll throw a couple of pictures on this video too, I guess.